the tragedy of flight MH17 is still being felt around the world. And after hearing about it and the other two plane crashes that happened this week, it's natural to feel worried about the thought of getting on a flight yourself. Heaps of kids have told us that's how they're feeling right now. So Matt decided to take a look at the safety of air travel and find out what lessons will be learnt for the future.
When something like this happens, the world takes notice. 298 people were killed when Malaysian Airlines flight MH17 was shot down over Ukraine. And as investigators begin to piece together what went wrong, they're also trying to make sure nothing like this happens again. Around the world, there are heaps of planes taking off and landing at airports every single day. And the vast majority do so without any problems at all. Behind the scenes, lots of people work hard to make that happen. Air traffic control looks after flights coming into and out of airports. Pilots make sure they follow set routes and fly at certain heights safely. Airlines do constant maintenance and countless checks on their planes. And aviation groups look over everything, making new rules and giving warnings about issues as they arise. Usually, these groups work together to provide travellers with an incredibly safe journey. But in the case of MH17, something went wrong. So, does that mean air travel isn't safe anymore? Is there something wrong with the system? Or was it just a freak event that couldn't be predicted? Well, on the day of flight MH17, air traffic control did their job to get the flight in the air. The airline made sure the plane was safe, the pilots flew the plane safely, and all of the rules were followed. But there were some warnings that weren't. And while that doesn't make anyone wrong in this situation, those warnings could have made a big difference. When MH17 was shot down, some airlines were already choosing not to fly over Ukraine. Because it had become a war zone, some aviation authorities had recommended the area be avoided entirely. Qantas, for example, had redirected its flights a few months ago. But Malaysian Airlines continued to fly there, as did many others. One of the reasons would have been cost. Avoiding the area would have cost the airline more fuel. Therefore, passengers would have had to pay more for their tickets, about an extra $66 each in this case. Some people are now calling for stricter rules so flights can't travel over war zones. It would cost airlines more, but would guarantee a situation like this doesn't happen again. The aviation industry is also looking at other ways it can protect passengers. One suggestion is that planes could be fitted with missile defense systems, warning pilots about any dangers coming from the ground. Even without new systems, travelling by air is still one of the safest ways to get around. The stats show there's only a 1 in 11 million chance of dying in a plane crash, and it's 22 times safer than travelling by car. You're more likely to die from being struck by lightning, falling off a ladder, getting food poisoning, and even falling out of bed. So even though we've seen a lot of worrying news lately, we've actually got some pretty good reasons to feel comfortable in the sky.